Crypto paradise. Watching it go, buying low, selling high. Riding the wave, I'm here to stay. Living in the digital age. No banks, no fees, just decentralized. It's crypto paradise. Ooh. No banks, no fees.
Alrighty, let's kick this thing off. Good morning from Paradise Surfers. My name's Crypto Amaru, joined as always by Nick the Crypto Hitman, and it is Tuesday, April 14th. A beautiful, glorious day to be alive. We are at $75,000 Bitcoin, ladies and gentlemen. The Paradise Pump in full effect. Perhaps the market has gotten wind of the stories we will be covering on today's show. BlackRock at it again, launching a new structured Bitcoin product. Morgan Stanley's ETF taking off. Michael Saylor buying 2x the amount of Bitcoin on a near daily basis than the miners can produce. And even the degenerate gamblers on Polymarket thinks there's a percent chance that Bitcoin is hitting $90,000 this year. And yet, there's still some poor soul out there who is pressing the sell button on Bitcoin and ETH right now. Good Lord, ladies and gentlemen, what a crazy thing to do. All right, before we get into stories, before we get into charts, let's take a emotional gut check, Nick. Fear is bouncing up off its lows. How are you feeling today seeing Bitcoin at $75,000?
I mean, this is what we were looking for. These are Bitcoin and Ethereum are kind of sitting at the levels that we wanted to see them break above, and that would be breaking out of this consolidation range. Also, we wanted to see oil roll over once again for a C leg lower down to $88 per barrel, and that's going down again as well. So I wanted to start with oil today because this has been the hot topic and really directing what's going on with Bitcoin and Ethereum. As you can see, cascading effect, A down. We had a B up relief rally to about $110 over the weekend when Trump said he was going to block the Strait of Hormuz. And then yesterday we said, hey, look, trend is still your friend. Target's still $88. Went from 110 down to 102. And now this morning, down another $7 a barrel to $95 a barrel. I'm sure our local resident here, the expert of Iran and oil, Crypto Armor, will talk about why that's going on after we look at some charts. But the trend is still your friend. Obviously, the bulls want this uptrend line to hold right here, right now, and then oil to break out to the upside. But I still think we trend more towards $88 and towards these moving averages. I think that's what makes sense. Drill, baby, drill here in the United States. Venezuela oil is ours. Saudi Arabia finding alternative routes. And Iran coming to the negotiation table as well leads me to believe that oil will go lower very soon.
Once again, Trump's 4D chess seemingly working out. Blocking the block. He blocked out the block on Strait of Hormuz. What a Chad move. He said no one's getting through. If our ships can't go through and our ally ships can't get through, neither can Chinese ships. And Iran said, wait, that's all our money. Shit, we're broke as fuck. Okay, back to the negotiating table. Trump, as much as we don't trust you, we're so mad and we're stubborn and we're proud and we're, insane death cult. Well, it looks like we may have decided to capitulate and grant you a 5-year moratorium on our nuclear activities. That is apparently the deal that is now on the table. Trump seemingly saying not good enough. He wants 20 years. Do they settle at 10 years? Do they settle at 15, 7.5? I don't know where this thing ultimately goes. All I know is that you do not bet against Donald Trump and the might of the American military. Period. Full stop. End of story.
Polymarket now has a 73% chance if Iran war ends by April 30th per Polymarket. If Iran war ends by April 30th, also the Clarity Act is estimated to be resolved by April 30th as well. That could be a nice momentum shift for crypto markets and all global markets. Do I think that this would change the interest rate cut that I think is happening April 28th? Probably not. Probably too little too late because you still don't have that Clarity Act, still don't have the Iranian war ended by then. But I think this means, in my opinion, if there is not an interest rate cut in June, that would be mind-blowing to me. I know the odds are only like 6%. To me, I think there has to be, will be, needs to be a cut in June with the new Fed chair, with the Iranian war over, with the Clarity Act passed, with everything that's going on, I think June is a mighty good bet. And we probably need to do a bet on Polymarket or on other platforms to lock that in my opinion. I know you're more hesitant. There are only going to be 2 cuts this year. It could happen later in the year. But I think June needs to be the cut, will be the cut, and that's where the momentum shifts.
I'm on board for a June cut. Let's see if Kevin Warsh can rally the rest of the governors to come around to his dovish side. We'll have to see how that plays out. But I want to take a step back and just remind all the panicans and doomers out there that once again, optimism has paid off handsomely. Remember a few weeks ago, it was World War III's coming, end of the world's coming, all markets go to zero, sell. Iran's winning the war somehow, despite the fact that almost all their leaders are dead, 90% of their military is destroyed, most of their ships sit on the bottom of the Persian Gulf, and yet somehow they're winning according to the liberal media. None of that happened, guys. The doomerism, the panic intake didn't play out, just like it didn't play out when the tariffs went down last year. The thing that we said had a 50% chance of happening is seemingly happening. Trump was going to win this war and win this negotiation. The Clarity Act was going to get passed. Wall Street was going to continue to adopt Bitcoin. Michael Saylor was going to continue to buy Bitcoin. Eventually, the smart money and the OGs, even within crypto, are going to start buying up. And we are going to see a glorious, glorious bull market. There was at least a 50% chance of that happening. And that seems to be what is happening now. So once again, stop tuning into the liberal media, doomering and panicking everyone to sell their bags. Tune into Crypto Paradise. We will convince you to hold, because holding is the way to riches. Trust me, that is the way, my friends. And we'll see you guys on the beach.
Lulu Lullaby, Miko Chapo says, good morning, surfers. Go buy a bag of surf. Good time to get a bag of surf, because if the markets come back, well, who's going to get a lot of revenue? Who's going to get a lot of opportunities? That's Crypto Paradise, and it's flowing into the surf token. So go do that. Martin Max King says hello. AJ West says good morning, and Moonmut says good morning as well. That's because I already looked over at that page. Pulse Chain is having a green day. We will look at that on stream here shortly. Let's look at what is going on with Bitcoin on the charts. This is what we have been looking for. We want to break above this range, though. We need to get above 76,137. We have not done that yet. And then the next major overhead resistance is all the way up here between $84,000 to $85,000 Bitcoin. That's where our last sell was, right when we broke down from that support that broke. Let's see here. If you zoom in, what does this kind of look like to me? If you're a bull, which we are, here you go. This would be a inverse head and shoulders. You would look something like this. Neckline up here. Boom. And then what would your measured move of this head and shoulders be? If I hit the shift button so it stays straight, come up to the neckline. And then you're saying this is the breakout point. Now you can always retest this breakout. I mean, it doesn't mean we're going straight up right here. You can always retest back to 73,000 or so. That would be retesting the neckline. But the breakout does what? It leads you right to 83,283. And what did I say the major overhead resistance is? 84 to 85,000. I mean, if you're a bulls, if you're a TA guy, that is great confluence. That means you would run up here to 83. You would run into that overhead resistance at 83, 84, 85. You'd probably check back to 79 to 80,000. And then you go try to attack that overhead resistance once again. So if you're a bull, if you believe in TA, and you like the formations of head and shoulders, bull flags, bear flags, all that stuff, this lines up very well. Great confluence. Target up to 83,428. Major overhead resistance at 84 to 85K. Bitcoin wants to go higher.
Short-term chart looks great. Even the long-term chart looks great. We finally broke out of that like 6 or 8 month downtrend. Remember, we hit the all-time high in October and was basically straight down ever since. We consolidated. We finally broke out of that downtrend line. That's like a 6 or 8 month line there. So, whether you're looking at shorter term chart, longer term chart, I don't know how you're selling Bitcoin right now. Like, who is selling? I want to ask the guy who's just put up a sell order on Coinbase. Why are you doing it, bro? What's the reason? Why are you selling your Bitcoin at this moment in time? Genuinely curious. Unless, your family's life depends on it. You can't afford to buy groceries, and that's why you need to sell your last Bitcoin. Unless that's the case, I don't know what the hell you're doing. Prices are going higher, guys. We just broke out of an 8 month downtrend. The short-term chart looks great. Sentiment's positive. Wall Street's fully on board. Wars ending. Oil prices going down. I mean, what more confluence of bullish events? We're going to get the Clarity Act passed seemingly at the end of the month. What more could you guys be asking for? What more? So don't sell your Bitcoin now, guys. That would be completely insane.
If you look at the Ethereum chart here, very similar story, trying to break above this previous high we had here above 2,300. This is what we said we wanted to break when we were down here, and look where we're sitting now. Major overhead resistance around 26 to 2,700 for Ethereum. I know a big mental barrier isn't at 3,000. It's actually at 2,800 because that is a number that we saw quite a bit on the first rally up when the Ethereum ETF was coming around. So keep a big mental barrier on 2,800. This does not look like an inverse head and shoulders to me, but it could be a big cup and handle for this bottom formation. If you look at that, if you're looking at a cup and handle, then you're doing a measured move up to where we are currently because this is the breakout point. You would stack it on top. If we can break out here, and what do you know, a measured move target to $3,000. That is a big mental barrier as well. So we'll see what's going on. All the charts, if you're a TA guy, if you like cup and handles, you like inverse head and shoulders, point to higher prices for Bitcoin and Ethereum if they can break just a little bit higher above these levels. Again, you can break out and retest this level. So don't be surprised if Ethereum breaks out and comes back to 2,400. Don't be surprised if Bitcoin breaks out and comes back to 73,000. That still remains bullish and still leads us to the major overhead resistance that we had put in place during the 1010 liquidity crisis.
I mean, if you're a bear, what are you hanging your hat on now? Because the chart in the TA now looks bullish, finally for the first time in months and months. Then you have the macros, which we talk a lot about, also very bullish. War ending, Clarity Act coming, Fed's injecting money into the markets as we speak. Wall Street's building out more and more products seemingly every single day. I mean, so from a macro story, it's nothing but bullishness. TA is now bullish. What are you hanging your hat on? Just history repeating out of the blue? Somehow another 50% dump to 40,000 because every other bear market in crypto had a 70% dump and we only thus far got a 50% dump? Is that what you're telling yourself? I don't know, but at some point you have to recognize your thesis was wrong. Wave the white flag, and buy back in. When are the bears buying back in, Nick? At what level do you think they say, you know what, shit, I had a plan, I had a thesis, it got invalidated, I don't want to get left behind, so I'm bidding now?
I think that happens when you get above those major resistance levels. So on Bitcoin, that's around $84,000, $85,000. On Ethereum, that's going to be around $28,000 to $3,000. And we'll see if they want to. The smart ones will buy back in before we get to that all-time high. Obviously, there's also always the FOMO when you get to new all-time highs that the new bull market is underway. We didn't really have that for Ethereum this cycle, but we definitely had that for Bitcoin. If you look at the charts, when we broke above 69K, we went up, we retested 69K, and we headed straight to 100 and beyond, and then we hovered up there to 126. Didn't really have that follow through on Ethereum. It happened late in the Bitcoin cycle. We broke through for, 30 minutes and came back down. So I would expect that FOMO to come this time around.
Yeah, retail FOMO will come, no doubt. I think that happens, when we're at or above all-time highs, certainly above 100,000. I don't think your normie friends are hitting you up and asking about Bitcoin or ETH until we're at $100,000 on Bitcoin. But I'm talking about like the OG guys you see in the Telegram and on X, the influencers who are bearish and looking at the chart and saying, okay, 40,000 is coming, it's a foregone conclusion. At some point they're going to have to say they are wrong. Like we admitted we were wrong. When Bitcoin didn't go to our, I was thinking 160. That was my target, but we just weren't paying enough attention to ISM. We weren't factoring in how many bears there were that believed in the 4-year cycle and we're going to dump the price down, and that's exactly what happened. We admitted we were wrong. I just held on. I didn't lose money. I just held on and watched the value of my account go down on paper. Numbers on the screen went less. But at some point, I need to wave the right flag and say, hey, we were wrong, and now we just wait for the next bull run. The bears are going to have to do the same thing soon. So looking forward to seeing all the bears admitting they were wrong and buying back in and pushing us back to 100,000.
Yeah, I just saw a clip, too, from Crypto Wendy-O. She gets, 2,000 to 20,000 views on her live show, so more than us. And she literally last night said in her live show that there will be no price appreciation or bull market until the next Bitcoin halving. I know we have a Bitcoin halving tweet up here, if I can find it. What did it say? Something, it's like, a year or two away or something like that? Yeah, just in, next Bitcoin halving is 50% complete. 105 blocks left before block rewards get cut in half daily. Issuance drops again. That's 729 days. That's 2 years away. That's what the main influencers are saying, that no bull market until the next Bitcoin halving another 2 years. Obviously, she said, well, prices could go up a little bit. How long before they switch their tune? And I think they switched their tune at those major overhead resistance levels. So 28 to 3,000 ETH and 84 to $85,000 Bitcoin. And even Crypto Wendio will say, okay, bull market going on right now. Here's my new sponsor. Buy this altcoin. That's what they always do. Crypto Wendio is notorious for saying, TA is hard, I'm done trading. And then what does she do? She has a trading group now. So these people are very good at staying relevant. Hey, props to them. They've made a name for themselves, made a brand for themselves. Because why? Because they are really good at clickbaiting. They don't care about switching up on their community. It doesn't matter. They're only as good as their last call, and they always change up their calls. And I think that these influencers come back at 2,800 to 3,000 ETH and $84,000 to $85,000 Bitcoin. And worst case scenario, if we do go to 40K, and she is right, well, 729 more days until we start having fun on the beach again.
Well, I'll be on the beach in about a week, heading down to Tulum for my birthday. So, I'll be at the Paradise Pad recording some content for you guys. But here's the difference between Crypto Paradise and a lot of these other so-called influencers. Most of these other influencers, I don't think they really actually have conviction in Bitcoin and Ethereum. I think my guess is a lot of them barely even hold crypto. You'd be amazed how many people work in the industry and don't even own any crypto. It's actually insane. There's a lot of people. Whereas myself, I'm not going to dox my wallet, but I will tell you, as a matter of fact, that I've been holding Bitcoin since 2017. And the only time I ever sold it was to buy a TV. Biggest mistake of my life. Okay? I am absolutely convicted. All right? Maybe not as much as Michael Saylor, but I'm absolutely convicted in this shit. Secondly, these mainstream influencers, they're lazy. They're just doing very surface level evaluation. They're not following any of the news. They're not following any of the macro events. They're certainly not as sophisticated as TA as Nick is either. And they're just going by, okay, well, it happened the last 3 times, Bitcoin halving cycle, so it's going to happen again. I could just ignore everything else. If you want to follow the lazy people that barely hold any Bitcoin, you can follow those folks. If you want to follow the guys who are locked in, fully convicted, and believe in this asset class for 10, 20, 30, 50 years, I'm going to gift my Bitcoin to my kids, guys. If you want to follow people like that, you follow Crypto Paradise, and I hope you smash the like, share, subscribe, and tell a friend. Because we are going to make it, and the likes of Crypto Wendy are going to get left in the dust when we hit $200,000 Bitcoin by 2020, end of 26, and she's still waiting for 40,000.
We have a comment here from Acid Thunder says, seems like market has priced in the Iran situation. Yeah, we started off the show talking about that a bit, but we do have one more post here. Bitcoin is up 17% since the U.S.-Iran war has started, outperforming stocks, gold, silver over the same period of time. Bitcoin is the new safe haven. Obviously, that is a good narrative to go with. That's going to catch more of a bid for Bitcoin in global turmoil, but the global turmoil is almost over. Also, the reason I wouldn't go on a limb and say, hey, it is the new safe haven is because right before the war and at the very beginning of the war, you already had gold and stocks and silver have a euphoric parabolic run. We call the top on those precious metals. So a lot of this isn't that those aren't good safe havens. It's just that it's backtracking a lot of the price appreciation it had before the war itself started. Although it is nice seeing Bitcoin outperforming for once, and I will take the narrative. That's kind of my overall outlook on this.
Yeah, I mean, it was highly oversold coming into the war. But, I mean, it's not as if it was a foregone conclusion, an absolutely guaranteed slam dunk that Bitcoin was going to outperform every other major asset during this war. Like if I told you, hey, Nick, what are the chances that Bitcoin outperforms gold, silver, and every other asset over the next 6 weeks after Trump starts bombing the shit of Iran? Do you think that's going to happen or not? You probably be like, nah, that's probably not going to happen. We're probably hitting 40K, bro. And it's like, no, that's what happened. It's the best performing asset. So again, at some point, you have to just, okay, acknowledge your previous biases were wrong, your preconceptions were wrong. I don't know exactly the reason why it's outperforming everything, but it is. And I'm glad that it is. And hopefully more people are waking up to it I don't know if I'd call it a safe haven. I think it's too volatile to be considered a true safe haven. But hell, you look at gold, and the volatility on gold is also really high over the past few months. So, I mean, who knows what a safe haven is now in the world of derivatives and leverage, and it's so easy to pump and dump 20% in a day. To me, Bitcoin is still the most undervalued major asset in the world. Global equities are worth around $200 trillion. Gold is worth around $30 trillion. And Bitcoin is still sub $2 trillion. Best upside potential of any major asset sitting here today at $75,000. Do not sell it.
That is very true. And let's look at this. I haven't read much about this. You shared this one, so let's see what's going on here. This is huge for crypto. Stablecoin transactions could soon be tax-free in the U.S. This comes as part of the revised Parity Act crypto tax bill. In the case of any sale of a regulated payment stablecoin, no gain or loss shall be recognized on such sale. The bill removes the prior $200 threshold for small crypto transactions and sets a $1 cost basis for certain exchange. So I need to learn more about this, but anytime crypto and no tax, reduced tax, or tax-free are in the same article, I am all for that, and that is very bullish for those cryptos in question. Now, this is talking about stable coins, so it doesn't really much bullish for any particular altcoin or even Bitcoin, but that's most bullish for Ethereum because Ethereum is finding its way to being the house and the home of 80% of all stable coins and stablecoin transactions. What are your thoughts on this? You might know more about this since you shared it with me.
Well, I just think it's emblematic of where crypto is going, particularly from the standpoint of government regulation. Why is it that the United States government is making it easier to transact stable coins, and why are they removing any, tax risk associated with that? Well, turns out that after the stablecoin bill passed last year, a majority of the assets backing those stablecoins have to be U.S. treasuries, which are otherwise not very great investments and pretty hard to sell. And now it's like we have this buyer of last resort, the stablecoin issuers that are buying up all our shitty treasury bills. So let's just push the stablecoin stuff. So from the U.S. government standpoint, it's an awesome thing. They want this to happen. From the standpoint of the end consumer, it's also great. Understand that every time you swipe your Visa, you're paying a privilege to do that. And you know who's paying even more of a privilege is the merchant. They're getting crushed. You ever go down to your local, convenience store, and they'll have a sign that says, 5% surcharge applied if you use a credit card. They're not doing that just for, shits and giggles. They're doing that because they're getting charged a lot by the credit card company for the privilege of having that point of sale system there. You eliminate that, and stablecoin transactions are essentially free. I mean, I did Ethereum, USDC transaction today. I think it cost me 3 cents now, even on mainnet. So from the merchant standpoint, it's good. From the consumer standpoint, it's good. Less fees and everything. And from the U.S. government standpoint, it's very good. So I'm not surprised that they're making the tax issue go away. Just another example, guys. Do not fade this industry right now. No, don't do it.
Bold prediction, VanEck thinks ETH will hit 52,300 by 2030. It's crazy how these big dogs pay hundreds of thousands of dollars for these type of predictions. I don't think we need to look forward to 2030. I believe by the end of this cycle, which I think is an extended cycle, as ISM is just ticking up, we didn't hit $40,000, and it looks like we made a major low at 60,000. That Ethereum will be above $10,000. Now, if Bitcoin achieves $244,000, the 10-to-1 ratio comes back into play. That puts Ethereum at over $22,000. What are your thoughts about VanEck's prediction here? And I don't want to look to 2030. I want to look to what's coming in 2026 and 2027.
I want to be rich now, not pre-rich for another 4 years. I mean, I'm with you on that. But no, ETH is highly undervalued and will be going up now and in the future. Do I think it hits 52 grand by 2030? Probably not by then. My prediction on Bitcoin is $1 million a coin by 2035. We got 2 more halvings at that point. Basically, the whole thing everything will have been mined at that point. Saylor will probably own 10% of the network. He'll never sell. I think Bitcoin hits $1 million, and then Ethereum at 52, probably makes sense at that point in time. Um, you know, the way I look at this though, and these people come up with these predictions. One day it's 53, and then the next day, month they're going to come out and say, oh, 10. They're no different than like the influencers on X just spouting numbers out of their ass. The biggest takeaway I have is I don't care if you think it's hitting 10, 50, 20, or even $5,000. Risk adjusted returns right now at $2,300 in ETH still make it one of the best investments in the world, however way you slice it. So if you don't have any ETH exposure, get some. If you already hold ETH, don't sell it. I don't care if it's going to 52 or 10. It's going higher than $2,300, guys.
Well, I think what's wrong with the mentality of a lot of crypto people or the people who are here right now is this. Look at the first comment here. That is a long, 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 long time away in many wars. People who are investing in their 401ks, who is now open to crypto investments, people investing in Ethereum and ETFs, they're looking at 10-year time horizons on ETFs and retirement time horizons on their 401k, which is 65 years old here in America. But 2030, which is one halving away, is a long, 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 long time away and many wars away for crypto degens. This is why I still believe we are so early in crypto and why you could potentially have so much upside potential. Why did gold go on a 10-year bull run after its ETF became a thing? Well, because those people had 10-year time horizons on ETFs. ETF investors have decade time horizons. Retirement investors have lifetime time horizons of 65 years old. The same is starting to happen for Ethereum, starting to happen for Bitcoin, and I'm sure some other cryptos will come as well, because every day we're talking about a new product that is being launched by BlackRock, a new incentive that is being launched by BlackRock, Fidelity launching this, Morgan Stanley launching that, and all of those people for those products have 10-year time horizons. That's how you get these long-term bull markets, and that's how you get much higher prices for these scarce digital assets with low or negative inflation on them, guys. This is what we've been preaching. And if you think $1 million Bitcoin is coming in 2035, well, if you look at the 10-to-1 ratio, that means Ethereum will finally hit its $100,000. And instead of wearing Bitcoin $100,000 hats, we'll be wearing Ethereum $100,000 hats just 8 years from today.
Yeah, I mean, my hair will be fully gray. My kids will be in a high school. But, I've made generational wealth. So why can't I wait that long? I think, look, the problem comes from this instant gratification society we live in. And look, I was young and impatient once too, okay? When I was young and impatient, that's why I quit my job as a lawyer to go into Web3, Try to find riches and glory in crypto, also because I hated my job. But so I get it. If you're young, if you're 18 years old, you're just inherently impatient, everything is far away. It's all going to take forever. You get to my age, trust me, guys, shit goes by in a blink of an eye. 10 years will be here tomorrow, and you'll be like, holy shit, Bitcoin's at $1 million. I'm glad I held on. So, I don't know. It's instant gratification. It's the youth. My only advice to you guys is just try to work on your patience. All good things come to those who wait. Don't lose your money gambling in poly market and the pump fund trenches. Find blue chips. Hold on to them for a long time. That's how millions are made, y'all. That's the triedest, truest way to make money in investing. Don't get tricked by the guys you see on X. Oh yeah, I made $1 million overnight. That ain't gonna happen to you. I'm sorry.
The bear case is slowly fading away, and the bull case for even the bears still looks pretty decent. 52% chance of 90K Bitcoin by the end of 2026. Now, that probably doesn't spur riches, but you would have a mini altcoin season. You probably would have Ethereum close to its all-time high, and then you would have Bitcoin at $90,000. Now, that isn't the end game scenario I want for the remainder of 2026 with all the potential macros and tailwinds that Bitcoin and Ethereum could catch. But the fact that Polymarket is switching from heavily favored, it was 60% chance of the 4-year cycle coming into play and us getting to 40 to 45,000 to now having a 52% chance at 90K, which is $15,000 higher than here, means the bears are losing firepower, and the bear case for Bitcoin in 2026 is starting to look awfully sunny.
The reason I like pointing this out is it gives you a nice snapshot of what average retail degens think about Bitcoin. Half the market is still bearish. Half the market's still bearish. And even the bulls think that we can only manage barely less than 15% returns over the next what's it, 8 months till the end of the year? So you're telling me Iran war is going to end, Clarity Act's going to pass, all these refund checks hitting, new Fed head of the Fed comes in, probably cuts rates a couple times. Who knows where other tricks Trump has up his sleeve to win the midterms, and we can barely get a 15% gain on Bitcoin in that time frame of 8 months? Guys, you're not paying attention. Either you're not paying attention, you're just too fucking bearish. But that's crazy to me.
With Michael Saylor still buying another large sum, another percentage point of the Bitcoin total
Bro,
supply.
he's buying $1 billion every week.
Yeah.
Like through stretch. I mean, people either are not paying attention, or they're just super bearish, or they can't envision a scenario where Trump actually wins.
Here's another thing. Iran obviously had a big thing because oil prices down, Bitcoin prices up, just as we predicted, just as we wanted to see. Obviously, there's nothing finalized there. We're still in this 2-week period. They're coming to the table wanting a 5-year delay on nuclear ambitions. Trump wants 20 years. Will they meet in the middle? Hopefully a decade is long enough. That would make a lot of sense, and that would surge markets even higher and oil price back to my $88 target. But this did happen around the same period. Do you think this had any impact on the crypto markets? Just in, the ex-head of product, Nikita Baer, says crypto has had a rough year. Quote, maybe we should launch something to fix it. The X Money application has been a big talking point. We've been talking about a year, making X an everything app, having crypto integrations, having integrated crypto tipping. Do you think that is what they're talking about? They're finally going to launch that? Do you think they have another big thing in mind? Do you think this impacted the crypto markets at all? Because this timing happened about the same time as Iran news.
Yeah, I don't know if that speculative kind of vague tweet is the reason we just broke 75,000. But if they launch that everything app, or I mean, they already have the everything. If they add crypto trading, right? If they add the ability to buy and sell Bitcoin, ETH, Solana, XRP. I'm not talking about if they turn it into pump fund, we got problems. But if it's just hey, basic crypto, payments, and you can just buy the basic blue chips, does that not onboard another couple million people? I think it absolutely does. And so that's super bullish in and of itself. I don't know if this tweet is why we got the pump today, but I'm happy to see X kind of turning around and getting a little bit more positive on crypto. It's been kind of shitty over the past few months. Feels like the algorithm has really been suppressing, crypto content in general. So does that change when they deploy, the financial aspects of the quote everything app, and there's Bitcoin trading and ETH trading? Let's see if it all happens. I hope it does. But yeah, man, it's been a rough 8 months or whatever it's been in the bear market. It's time to flip our mindset, guys. It's time to flip into bull market mindset.
Yeah,
There's a lot of positive news coming.
We know historically that the SEC has targeted, if that's what you want to say, Elon Musk and Tesla and everything else. So maybe X was really waiting for this integration for SEC clarity, which has been coming. We've gone through the documentation of what is a commodity, how to avoid being a security, et cetera, et cetera, and also the Clarity Act, which is now presumably going to be done by the end of this month. So if you got the SEC regulatory guidance, has been updated several times. We talked about it on several live shows over the past couple weeks, and now Clarity Act is back in the news with Iran war wrapping up. Maybe that's what X was waiting for. Maybe that's why there was a delay, and maybe that's why he's teasing this, because both of those things are kind of coming into play. And remember, like I said, Elon Musk owns publicly traded companies, privately traded companies, and has been targeted by SEC and regulatory frameworks before, and maybe he just wants the clear green light to make sure when they launch this thing, they're not going to have any hiccups.
Well, thank God Trump's in charge, because if Biden was here, it wouldn't be possible to launch any kind of crypto trading product through X. They would immediately be subject to SEC investigation and lawsuit. That was the world under Biden, guys. So for everyone who's, if I miss Biden, market would be so much higher. Maybe. My guess is, Brian Armstrong might be behind bars for some bogus trumped-up charge. Okay.
Well, you would still have Ross in jail for sure.
Yeah,
you'd still have CZ in jail for sure. You'd probably have FTX getting a pardon because he funded them.
Yeah. You can't have the Dems in charge. I'm glad to see the regulatory framework sort of cleared and that path, given that green light to X. Very, very bullish stuff. And there's bullish news all over the place, guys. And not only that, Bitcoin just broke out of its 8-month downtrend. What are we waiting for? What are you guys waiting on? Well, looks like Willie's not waiting on anything because he's selling real estate to buy some ETH, LFG. Look, we don't give financial advice on this channel, but if I could turn around and sell my condo in Tulum, I mean, I love it so much, but it was a terrible investment. If I could turn around right now and sell it to buy a bunch of ETH, and then like wait a couple of years, sell that ETH to buy like a villa, not a bad idea. So I mean, I'm all for it. Real estate market is tough. Real estate market is overvalued. No one can afford a mortgage. All the boomers are sitting on overly inflated home values. They don't want to sell, can't sell, whatever. New generation, average age of home buyer is 40 years old. I mean, the real estate market's cooked. So getting out of that and moving into the new hot thing, undervalued Ethereum, doesn't seem like a terrible idea. Good luck to you, man.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good choice as far as risk-adjusted return. Rather than going into Bitcoin, I think Ethereum is the play. I think Ethereum has more upside. Ethereum gives you more opportunity as well, passive income opportunities. And we've been saying we think Ethereum will outperform Bitcoin for the remainder of the cycle. So far, that has happened. Ethereum is outperformed by about 65% currently, as high as 110% before this last dump. And I think the Ethereum is about to uptick and start outperforming Bitcoin once again as the market turns around, because that's where we're getting a lot of the clarity. The Clarity Act is going to impact Ethereum as much or more than Bitcoin. The stablecoin bills are impacting Ethereum as much or more than Bitcoin. These tax advantages for stablecoins are impacting Ethereum as much or more for Bitcoin. We haven't had an alt season. Alt season impacts Ethereum as much or more than Bitcoin. So I just look to what's coming forward. What we see in this last cycle, is the cycle truly finished? And I think Ethereum still hasn't had its run. It only hit 4,800. I don't even count it as going to an all-time high. I think Ethereum hasn't hit an all-time high now in 5 or 6 years. And this is a massive consolidation for the breakout move like we saw in silver.
Yeah, man. ETH's hitting 10 grand at some point in the next 12 months. I think real estate, look, I mean, it's always going to be going up slightly every year. You know, you'll make your 2 to 4%, maybe 6% if you're lucky, and in some certain markets. But the upkeep costs, the taxes, I mean, this guy's up there in New England. I'm not far away from New England, but the taxes where I'm at are egregious. It's highway robbery. It's just, it's basically just theft, the amount of taxes that I pay. And fortunately, I do have kids in the school system, so I guess I get the benefit in that sense. But good Lord, I mean, I'd much rather have an asset which there's no taxes, there's no upkeep. I can stake it to earn 3% and has a 5 to 10x, upside over the next 10, 15 years versus, real estate. It looks like you have, this is probably your vacation home or an Airbnb property. I think that's a perfectly reasonable thing to get out of. Prices are up, strike while the iron's hot, like you're saying. Move into something undervalued. Is it guaranteed to work out? No. I mean, investing always has risk. But this real estate game, man, it's just there's so many ancillary costs and fees and taxes. Basically just ruins it as an investment.
And here we go. We've been talking about S&P 500. What is the traditional market going to do? Bitcoin and Ethereum way up. Here's S&P. Yesterday we said we were only 2.66% away from the wick high, all-time high. And now S&P is even less than that, getting over halfway through. I bet you we're about a percentage point away from S&P going to a new high. Does that mean we break through and moon? Probably not. You do have a gap here. You do have support at moving averages, and you will see resistance at these highs as it got rejected not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 times at those levels. So don't expect this thing to just green candle, God candle. Hey, I'm rooting for it, but likely it will not. You're going to run into resistance right here around 7,000, right around the previous all-time highs. We'll probably consolidate for a day or a week, or maybe even retest down here to 6,800. People will say, oh, it's a fake out, oh my God. And then Iran will come to a terms. They'll do a 10-year, no nuclear ambitions, and then boom, we're going to blast through all-time highs for S&P 500, NASDAQ, Dow Jones, ISM expansion continues, and Bitcoin goes to 90,000 by the end of 2026.
130,000 by the end of 2026.
Well, I'm just going based on the poly market odds,
No, forget them. A bunch of bears, novices, and short-term 17-year-old degens who don't understand the market. I'm not paying attention to what they think. We're going to all-time highs on Bitcoin this year, guys. But we told you this is going to happen in the stock market. The Iran war, I understand it's different circumstances, and it's slightly different than tariffs for a lot of reasons, but it was basically a tariff 2.0 scenario. Okay, here comes a black swan out of the blue early last year. Man, the timing was even very similar. February, into April, right? That was the peak tariff FUD, and S&P, by the way, crashed much harder than it did this time. S&P crashes, everyone's panicking, it's going to zero, sell everything, get out of your 401k, blah, blah, blah. And then insane V-shaped recovery, and you get like a 30% gain from that bottom throughout the rest of the year. Same shit happening here with Iran. Scary black swan event, mainstream media telling you to sell, it's go to zero. Trump, I don't want to even call it tacoing anymore. I just want to call it outmaneuvering and outnegotiating and just chatting everybody so hard that he wins and then America wins. And so that happens, and then the markets go back up again. It's the same thing. It's a tariff last year. It's Iran this year. When will people learn? When will people learn that Trump knows what the hell he's doing and he's actually good for markets? Stop selling your assets, guys.
And we still have fear at 21 here, even with this rally as we're trying to break out of this consolidation zone. I like this because when things get greedy, we usually have short-term tops. So if you want to have fear, keep having fear. If the bears want to keep selling, keep panicking, keep posting clickbait titles, that is great because that means that this mini cycle here can get higher. And the higher we go, if we can get above the 84 to 85K range, bull market fully in effect. If we can get above the 2,800 to 3,000 range on Ethereum, bull market fully in effect. So let's keep the fear in the markets until we can get to these resistance levels and break through them.
Well, I'm not surprised to see the fear. I mean, look at Mario Newfall's live stream. A single move in Hormuz could crash the world, I'm guessing, economy or the world markets. I mean, such clickbait, fear-based BS, not based in reality at all. If you were to follow him, or even the folks that I will watch, on Bloomberg, half of the takes that you see on mainstream media or these big accounts are extremely bearish. To the point where if you had no critical thinking and no long-term mindset, you would probably sell your assets. You would sell into the fear. You would sell at the lows because they would have scared you into doing that. And when you sell blue chip assets at the lows, you've now missed the potential of years and years and years of compounding gains that would eventually have resulted in your early retirement. Ask Warren Buffett. Do you think he sold and capitulated when mainstream media was like, sell Apple, because who knows? God knows, we'll give you 50 reasons to sell. He held on, and now he's one of the richest men in the world. You have to let time be your friend. You have to stay in these markets for the fear, through the panic, through the blood in the streets. Don't listen to these doomerism voices, guys. It's going to get you wrecked.
Yeah, and we're always talking about how is Bitcoin going higher? Where would Bitcoin price be without Michael Saylor and MicroStrategy? Look at these numbers. Strategy alone has absorbed 138% of all Bitcoin mined in 2026. There's 45,000 Bitcoin produced by miners year to date, and Strategy has purchased 108,000 Bitcoin in the same window off the open market. One company is outpacing the entire global mining output. Now consider BlackRock, Fidelity, Morgan Stanley, and the world governments. Stack while you can. Yeah, because at the same time as this, you have El Salvador, who still buys 1 Bitcoin per day every single day. They own over thousands of Bitcoin now by doing that. You have the U.S. government, who has held all their Bitcoin created a reserve and figuring out how to add more Bitcoin to it. Individual states are accepting Bitcoin for taxes and holding that for a reserve as well. So when you look at how much inflation there is in Bitcoin, the Bitcoin inflation continues to drop every 4 years, is going to drop in another 2 years. And now you have all these Bitcoin strategic reserve companies. And then you have Strategy alone buying 138% of all new Bitcoin. It's pretty wild. All the downward pressure essentially came from the 10-10 liquidity crisis and the 4-year cyclists looking to sell and buy back at 40 to 45,000. This is why we did not get that 40 or 45,000. It's really on the back of Strategy and Michael Saylor alone, because Michael Saylor is buying some Bitcoin for his own personal bags as well.
Yeah, man, he's not slowing down. Stretch is not slowing down. I mean, they're buying like $1 billion a week worth of Bitcoin now through the Stretch product. And again, it's just going to accelerate as price goes higher. Markets get more bullish again. ISM expand. People get risk on. Okay, I'm looking to deploy capital. Take it out of my money market. Where should I put it? This thing is a rocket ship, guys. We're at the early phase of the rocket ship. We're still at like 20% on the fear gauge. So we're not in greed territory by any stretch. But yeah, this thing is just taking off, man. I want to circle here to Willie's comment, because this is a really, really important point to make. We are perma bulls. but you have to distinguish between blue chips and everything else. You're absolutely right. So, got to stick with 90% cores, 10% lottery rules. Got lost in the sauce with these friggin' meme coins. Dude, we did too, man. We did too. In 2024, we made some. We probably gave a lot of it back. I mean, my strategy, because I've been in this game for long enough, the altcoins, 9 out of 10 of them, maybe 9 out of 100, you really can't hold long term. As much as you might love the products, the team, the vision, the token utility, even so, you can have these 90% drops on altcoins just because that's what happens with this market. So altcoins is very much right place, right time, shorter time horizons. Take your profits. You want to rotate them into majors and blue chips. You want to rotate some of your gains into Bitcoin and ETH. I got no issues. Or even just move into stables. And, I know you're looking to exit out of real estate. Maybe someone wants to get into real estate. Bottom line is the altcoins, it is a different game. When I say Bitcoin's going to $1 million in 10 years, I don't mean that every single altcoin in the top 10 is going to do 100x in that time frame. My guess is the top 10 cryptos in 10 years from now, outside of Bitcoin and Ethereum, maybe BNB, is going to look very different. Even Solana, I think, may ultimately fall out of the top 10 if the meme thing sort of dies off, because that's its only calling card. Bottom line, treat the blue chips differently than you treat your altcoins, and you're going to be okay.
Yeah, in the Learn Crypto private group, we literally have a hodl positions, and all of our hodl positions are those blue chips. So it's literally Bitcoin, that although we're trading Bitcoin, although we're trading Ethereum, Litecoin used to be in there, Monero used to be in there, and though we're trading that, there's still a certain percentage of those blue chips that we literally have designated as a hodl bag, meaning we rarely sell those. We've sold those 2 times ever in history. The one was in 2018 after we ran from 3,500 Bitcoin up to 14,000, and then China made it illegal. We sold all of our hodl bags and then bought back at like 9K. The other time happened, I believe Todd gave a sell on the hodl bags at like 58,000 on the way to 69,000 2 cycles ago. Other than that, those hodl bags are just hold positions. You hodl them on forever for 1 year, 4 years, 5 years, 10 years, and you rarely ever touch your hodl bags. So even at Learn Crypto, we do that as well, which those are like untouchable bags. And people still catch themselves dipping into those too much. Oh my gosh, Todd's traded Bitcoin 5 times perfectly. I'm going to go, instead of just trading 25% of my Bitcoin or 50% of my Bitcoin, I'm going all out and then unable to buy it back and then complaining. Well, we never told you to touch those hodl bags. Some bags are meant to just be lost and forgotten, just like your grandma's heirloom ring, the gold ring that you have lost and forgotten in your safe at your house as well. You're not running to the pawn shop to sell that on every gold move.
Yeah, look, not all investments are created equal. That should be common sense, and I think people do know that for the most part. I mean, memes are the prime example of that. Like, you can't hold those things for more than, at least the vast majority of them, for more than a couple hours. I mean, hell, you go to the pump phone trenches, the average hold time is a few minutes now, which is just been madness. I stay away. But, yeah, you got to distinguish between blue chips, which will be around cycle after cycle because they have the fundamentals, the community, the devs, the product market fit to support that, and then everything else, which is much more speculative. And look, I mean, there's going to come a time when focusing on the speculation is going to make all the sense in the world. And you're going to want to do that for about 6 months, get locked in and try to make as much as you can. The key... Notification
alert just popped up on my phone. Bitcoin above $76,000. All right, continue.
Hello. Paradise Pump in full effect. Michael Saylor's watching the stream and just bought another billion.
Hey, he had to buy some more before it got above his cost basis. That's what's crazy too. Michael Saylor, who's been buying for years and years and years. Once the cost basis of his Bitcoin was 36,000, we just saw, even after he bought $1 billion at 71K, his cost basis was over $75,000. Maybe that was him buying, DCAing that cost basis before the move above 76,000. Go on.
At what point are we going to have to accept that this guy's deadly serious about his Bitcoin plans and that he's going to continue to buy regardless of price and that he's going to hold? Allegedly, he said he'll hold even when it's $10 million a coin. I don't know if he'll be alive because the guy's kind of old Does he see a $10 million Bitcoin? But certainly, I think he sees $1 million Bitcoin, and he'll have bought all the way up, and we'll say he's crazy. I can't believe he's crazy. Meanwhile, he'll actually have the most valuable company on the planet because of his Bitcoin holdings. So at some point, we got to stop doubting this guy, don't we?
Well, and you know who else is going to be buying? BlackRock. We always see when BlackRock sells, even though it's just their clients selling. But how about BlackRock buys? Because now BlackRock is launching its Bitcoin Income ETF, ticker symbol BITA. Obviously, we've seen the success of the Income Ethereum ETF that pays dividend. Now here's an opportunity to have a spot Bitcoin Income ETF that's actually going to pay rewards or dividends of some kind. Of course, we'll see as this gets passed, what is the final guidelines, what's the final percentage, everything along that way. But like you said, if Bitcoin and Ethereum still has success, their projects are going to keep launching products on it. There's going to be extra opportunities. Do you want to own Bitcoin? You're self-custodying it through Coinbase. Do you want a spot ETF with BlackRock? Do you want an income ETF now with BlackRock? Do you want a leverage ETF with BlackRock? All of them have one thing in common. BlackRock needs to own, hold, and custodize Bitcoin via Coinbase in order to run all of these products. And Bitcoin is a scarce digital asset with a slight inflationary rate. That's how you get supply shock. That's why Bitcoin is sitting here today at 76,000 when just in 2017, less than 10 years ago, it was less than $1,000 per Bitcoin.
Yeah, I think this BITA product is actually a lot bigger than maybe people realize. How it works is it does produce passive income for its holders using options and covered calls. How it, I guess, works is when there's volatility, it's going to generate passive income as a result of that, and pass that on ultimately to the owners of this asset. Why is it important? Well, there's a lot of institutional investors who may be willing to sacrifice on some of the upside that like a pure ETF would provide, because apparently that's the trade-off, right? This might, it provides you passive income, but it may not get you the same upside. But that's going to be very appealing to pension funds, insurance companies. I mean, these giant pools of capital that otherwise may not be able to convince, their decision makers and their LPs to go straight up invest in a Bitcoin ETF. Well, here's a kind of a hybrid. Okay, we get some exposure to Bitcoin. It's less risky, less upside, but we're getting paid out every month in some form of dividend. Guys, this is how we get to $1 million a coin. It wasn't going to happen on the backs of Joe Schmo buying $5,000. It's going to happen because the pension funds, the insurance companies, the endowments all start to allocate 5% of their money into Bitcoin products. And remember, there's over $300 trillion of investable liquid assets in the world, and Bitcoin represents 1.8 trillion of that. A lot of upside, guys.
And there's over $8 trillion in the money markets currently, and we've been talking about that rotation will happen. Well, that rotation happens when interest rates get cut, because then the money markets pay less money. And what hasn't happened in quite a while, we haven't seen an interest rate cut since December or November of 2025. So if those cuts kick back in, unlikely in April, more likely in June, and you have 2 to 3 cuts the remainder of the year, the money market percentage returns go down. You have Bitcoin and Ethereum mooning. Now they have a product both for ETH or Bitcoin that pays more than the money market plus has upside. $8 trillion could flow, or a portion of that could flow, into these various crypto-related products, which pump the prices due to supply and demand curves. That's what we've been talking about happening. The money markets have had no reason to move yet because the interest rate cuts have stopped and the money market returns have remained stable.
Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, interest rates, the overnight lending rate is 3.5%. So that's not extremely high, but like interest rates that average people pay to get a mortgage, car loan, etc., is around 7% right now. We got to get those numbers lower. And going back to something Willie talked about here on the stream on, as to real estate, when interest rates are lower, you get a wave of refinancing. People basically getting a new deal on their mortgage where they're paying less per month. And so if all of America is able to refinance and get, $500 or $1,000 a month savings on their mortgage, that money is so stimulative. It's going into the economy. It's going to buy things. Stock prices go up. People get risk on. Money flows into crypto. Who knows? Maybe your favorite NFTs might catch a bid again in that environment. So yeah, like Cookie Dev said, the bull run is back, but I don't think we ain't seen nothing yet, man. I think it's just the start.
Well, and it's going to be led by institutions. We've been talking about this, and now Morgan Stanley went from not having anything to do with crypto to them launching their first product. And now on their main homepage, banking giant Morgan Stanley just started promoting Bitcoin and crypto on their homepage. Absolutely wild. Trillions incoming. Crypto built into your portfolio. This is what we said was going to happen. They're going to say 1 to 3% of your whole portfolio goes into these crypto products that we own and make fees on and have upside potential. Or based on the data, they're going to be saying 5 to 10% in Bitcoin and then 1 to 3% in Ethereum products. Now, why would they push you in these products? Well, they make fees, number one. Number two, they are positioned to win on upside. These institutional players have been buying Bitcoin and Ethereum. We've seen it day after day, whether it's strategic reserve companies in the traditional markets, whether it's BlackRock themselves, Morgan Stanley, whatever it may be. They put hundreds of thousands of millions of dollars into building products for these assets. Now they're putting hundreds of thousands of $1 million into training their advisors to push these products on their clients, and they are positioned for the upside of these assets. Because if these assets go up, not only do they own spot bags, well, they're going to get more clients, and these clients are going to hold for longer periods of times, which means they get more fees. This is where we're going, and these people, Morgan Stanley, BlackRock, Fidelity, Charles Schwab, goes on, all of them have millions and millions and millions of dollars of AUM, and if they can convince you to put 1, 3, 5, 10% into their products, they make a lot of money, but Bitcoin and Ethereum go up a lot.
Yeah, man, I can't believe this is apparently on their homepage. They're really pushing this stuff, man. This is huge. I mean, look, we're OGs. Maybe not the oldest of the OGs, but we've been here since 2017. The notion that the likes of a Morgan Stanley would embrace Bitcoin, crypto, to this extent that they would be shilling it essentially on their homepage is just a mind-boggling concept. If I could rewind and tell, my 2017-year-old self, hey, dude, do you know that in less than 10 years, Wall Street's going to be pushing this on their clients? No way, dude. No way that's happening. This is degen stuff. Bitcoin's just a fad. It's probably going to go to zero after this next bull run's done. I mean, this is what we all thought. But yet here we are, 2026, Wall Street fully bought in, Trump administration fully bought in, and, the allocation, the actual movement of money is really just starting now. So again, if you're selling your Bitcoin at 76,000 thinking that you're some genius, you got another thing coming. Sorry, guys.
That's really all the news we have. Let's look at the charts here. Pulse Chain is up green today as well. PLS up 7.5%. PulseX up 9.5%. Told you that's the best one. Ink up 7.5%. But Hex says, wait a second, Nick. Yes, it's better than PLS and Ink, but Hex is up 11.5%. So I know there's some Hex fanboys in here. Dovahkiin likes Hex as well, has some long stakes. Hex performing better than the 4 today. So when are they going to add ProveX to this platform? That way I don't need to look that up on a separate platform. It'd be nice to add ProveX as a core token here on goldpulse.com.
Well, look, I love to see green in the markets, even if it's not my holdings. Like I don't own any Hex, for example. But I love to see green in the markets. Why? Well, green begets more green. What happens when people see green? Two things. One, if they have dry powder, they start to invest in stuff. But two, even if they don't have dry powder and they're just holding, now all of a sudden they're much less likely to sell. People don't normally like to sell. Most people don't sell into green candles. They sell into the red. That's just how it works, guys. So the more green, more holding begets more green, begets more green, and this is how you get a bull run, folks. This is how you get a bull run. So I don't hold Hex. I'm happy for everyone who does. I don't hold half the coins. Or I don't hold I don't hold 99% of the coins out there. But I'm happy when they do well, because when those folks do well, they're more likely to invest in something that I do hold. Like for instance, a bullshot. Maybe you can pull up the Crypto Paradise main page. We have some bullshot news to cover. We got a lot of pre-sales coming down the pipeline. But when you see the green, it begets more green, more risk on, and all of a sudden people are investing in stuff again. You get a glorious bull run.
Breaking news, German stock exchange operator Deutsche Börse buys $200 million stake in Kraken Crypto Exchange. Another country about to go full crypto. Integration probably of Kraken into their government agencies and into their retail pockets. That's the only reason you would invest 200 million into a crypto exchange, is they believe Kraken is going to get the green light to expand over into Germany and going to play a more integral role in the economy of Germany as well.
Is that the same Germany that like 2 summers ago sold like
Sold
2
everything at
billion or something?
50,000, 55,000 Bitcoin. Yeah, great sell.
Yeah, like
Yikes.
at like 50,000 a coin. I think they now have like $7 left in their wallet. So anyone here listening to the stream, you can take solace and you can be proud of the fact that you probably own more Bitcoin than the government of Germany. Good job.
And the other breaking news before we go to the Crypto Paradise main page and wrap up the show, just in, the U.S. March PPI comes in lower than expected. The estimated was 4.6%. The actual, 4%. So a big move down for the March PPI, comes in lower than expected. There you go. United States of America,
Well,
folks.
all this stuff's so manipulated because if the market reaction is based not on the number itself, but its relation to the expectation. Well, the expectation is just something that we've made up.
Right.
So you just say, hey, I expected 1 million PPE. I expected that, gas was going to be resulting in the price of groceries going up 10,000 million percent. And that didn't happen. So yay, happy joy, market go up. So I don't understand this expectation stuff. It seems very manipulated and fugazi to me. But I am happy to see that PPA, despite it being inflated, I mean, that's not a good number. I don't want it at 4%. I wanted it at 2. Actually, I wanted it sub 2. But for some reason, we're rejoicing at 4 because expectations, which we just made up. So I don't know. Make it make sense. The markets are a wild place. I don't know what to tell you. All I can say is just buy and hold blue chips. You'll be fine.
Dovakin says Hex is nice. Set it and forget it. He doesn't care about price until 10 to 15 years from now. He's looking for the 2035 $1 million Bitcoin, $100,000 ETH, and who knows where Hex would be at that point. I guess the Hex price itself doesn't matter as much because you get in the weeds. There is passive income in Hex, but you do earn something called T-shares, and those become more rare and more expensive as time goes on historically. So shout out to you for that information. Let's look at Bullshot. The Bullshot devs are absolutely cooking. You're looking at a superior and more fair token launcher built on BNB chain, already with tremendous traction, launching at an ultra low FDV and initial market cap. Bull shaping up to be one of the most successful token launches of 2026. We've talked about this because the only way you're going to be able to access this, 250 PoolX tokens or more, 200,000 Surf or more, and the only public launch pad it will be going on is Pools. That is it. The other 7.5 million already been raised from big ventures, names that you know like Becker and other VCs in the space. Of course, Crypto Paradise has a small investment as well. But you can get an investment in Bullshot via Pools platform very soon. I'm sure we'll provide more information. But we just wanted to show this hype video that Bullshot put out 3 hours ago.
Makes me want to go to the club, this music. Just vibe it out, man. Dude, I'm so bullish on Bullshot. You can pause the vid, but this is one of those gems, guys. I really think this is one of those rare moments you get at the beginning of that transition from the bear to the bull, and you find a gem that has everything going for it. And is it guaranteed 100 times? No. Is it guaranteed even 10 times? No. Nothing is guaranteed when it comes to investing. But I remember back in, let's call it early 2020, when the market was transitioning out of bear and into bull, and we found 3 very promising projects. By the way, none as good as Bullshot. None even as close as good as Bullshot, honestly. But they all did 100 times because of that transitionary period of people going from bearish to bullish. With Bullshot, you have a product that has been out for the past 6 or 8 months, already generating hundreds of thousands of dollars in revenue, already with product market fit, tons of volume going through it. It is basically a better version of Pump Fund with more fair economics behind it, launching on BNB chain, which we happen to like as a chain better than Solana, which is the G chain. So BNB people are going to hold tokens. Not to mention, it is going on pretty much all the tier 1 exchanges. Not to mention Pools is the only place you'll be able to access the pre-sale. Not to mention the valuation of the pre-sale price is 40 million FTV, and not to mention the launch price is 120 million FTV. So unless something goes absolutely horribly wrong, you're looking at just a 3x return simply having invested in the private sale and at the launch price. And because of the way the token economics are structured, there's like 3% of the entire supply available at launch. It's basically nothing. No one's getting tokens except a handful of airdrop farmers who, use the product and so on and so forth. So they're getting some tokens. Good for them. Everyone else, there's no other tokens on the market. This thing could skyrocket. There's no tokens to sell. So I don't know. Look, I don't know if this is going to be the next Rave DAO. Chances are it probably won't be the next Rave DAO. But there's a small chance it might be the next Rave DAO. And why not get yourself a bag of Pool X tokens? Why not take your chances on a new project with already strong fundamentals, already has all the track record in the world? I mean, dude, this is giving me 2020 vibes when we hit 3 100x projects in a row. I don't know if you remember those days, but it was 3 in a row, and it was insane. Sadly, I gave a lot of those gains back to the markets doing stupid shit afterwards. But my life was changed, no doubt about it. Let's hope it happens again.
Talking about Rave DAO, we should have traded that. We should have, I mean, can't be any more accurate. I said when we were running into $10 resistance level that you probably see a dip to $8 and then you see another move higher. Well, obviously the green market today has helped it. Oh my gosh, Nick, it's 16. Why didn't we just buy it at 10 yesterday? Well, no, you should have bought it at the $8 price point I had because, the low yesterday ended up being $7.49, and now it's rallied to $16. So Nick Stradamus predicted the overhead resistance, predicted a drop to $8 and went to $7.50, and now it has doubled up in price since that level in less than 24 hours. Raved out to $16 after it backtracked to the $8 price target. For those of you who I said, quote, I wouldn't buy it here, but if you want to trade the raved out or you like it, wait for a dip to $8, buy it, and wait for the next rally. Well, it immediately went to $8, $7.49, and 1 hour later, boom, back to $16. Holy cow, should have traded that myself. We did it. But, hey, shout out to anybody in Rave DAO who took that advice, looked for an $8 pullback, and took advantage of it.
Dude, I love to see it. Now, hopefully it doesn't just reverse and crash back down because it was just like a manipulated market maker scheme, which very well could be the case. I thought that was what was going to happen, but it's going higher. How does something like this happen? Well, I think a few things. One, you have relatively low float out there. There's not a lot of tokens out there. So that the market maker and the investors and so on, they can kind of grab control of the supply a little bit, right? So that's one thing. Secondly, if it's listed on a perpetuals platform and you have leverage trading, that can help push things higher, faster. Conversely, there's risk that it goes down as well. When we talk about Rave DAO and then we compare it to Bullshot, we're not just saying things to say things. I'm seeing parallels. Is it one for one? No. Is it guaranteed to happen? No. But look at the exchanges Rave DAO is listed on. Look at the fact it's got perpetuals. Look at the token economics with the relatively low token supply out there. Okay? And then I don't even know what the hell Rave DAO's product is. I mean, to me, it's kind of a joke. At least Bullshot has a real product market fit, token utility, generating revenue. I think Rave DAO is like somehow connecting EDM concerts to crypto. I don't know what that's about. As much as I love to go to EDM concerts back in my younger days, doesn't seem like it's a great narrative. But it had the other things going for it. Bullshot's got a lot of those things going for it too. We'll see if we can get even half the performance compared to Rave DAO. But I do love to see these green candles, man.
Yeah, I can't complain about it. We do have Cookie Dev in the house. Says, don't forget Smart Sentinels, the other gem. Smart Sentinels coming to you via pools as well. This one we've been talking about a little bit longer, but it falls into the AI sector. The AI sector, we believe, will make a roaring comeback in the crypto markets due to the fact that it is very important in traditional markets. And when you have traditional markets also liking AI, usually that creates a narrative in crypto as well. We'll pull up their Twitter real quick to see what they've been up to. And of course, we'll keep you posted when your investment opportunity in Smart Sentinels becomes a reality. Here you go. Smart Sentinel, decentralized AI infrastructure. AI meets blockchain and proof of useful work fuels the future. A new era of AI-powered mining. Smart Sentinels staying active here on Twitter, retweeting Crypto Paradise, so we will continue to support you since you supported us. And here you guys go. This is the Twitter page. Check it out. Stay tuned on Crypto Paradise for more news about Smart Sentinels and how you can get involved in the short, near-term future. With the price performance we're seeing with Ethereum and Bitcoin, hopefully a lot of these gems, a lot of these alts decide to launch, decide to do their final raises, get their product out in the real world, get their token out in the real world, so everybody at Crypto Paradise watching these shows can take advantage, whether you're trading, utilizing, or hodling. The altcoin season seems closer rather than further away.
Oh man, alt season's coming, guys. It may already be upon us. You don't realize things in the moment when they're happening. You only realize what was happening when you look back and you see the chart in its totality. You see, oh, look at that V-shaped recovery. In the moment, you don't really know. But I'm pretty damn certain we're starting this V-shaped recovery here. It's going to trickle into alts. I think Smart Sentinel is going to do very well. They will be able to raise funds. They're also going on BNB chain. They have the narrative going for them, doing a sweet giveaway as we speak. I mean, we're talking to a lot of great projects over at Pools. What other ones come to mind outside of Bullshot? We got Taunt launching soon as well. They're kind of a hybrid AI combined with prediction markets. So that one's coming on Pools as well. You can check out the interview we did with the team. We had Noya, which delayed its launch, but I think will launching soon. That's a prediction market play as well. So there is stuff happening in the world of pre-sales and the world of altcoins. Not all will do well. I mean, understand the game that you are playing when investing in altcoins and pre-sales and anything low cap. You're basically, I always say this, you are your own VC. The VC model is we're going to make 10 bets a year. 8 will totally fail, essentially go to 0. 1 is going to do halfway decent, and 1's going to do 100 times. That's the VC model, right? And if you're investing in pre-sales, that's the game that you're playing. Understand the risk to reward. But, with Pools, and you get the refundable IDO option, meaning that, you got that 24-hour period after the token launches to decide whether you want to stay with that investment or get a full refund. You kind of taking a lot of the risk out of it. So we got some good refundable IDOs coming. Smart Sentinels is one, Bullshot's another, Taunt's another. We have more in the pipeline. We got one called Cider, which I'm super bullish on. That's an AI trading platform launching at a $400,000 FDV, ultra low, super tiny MCAP, 100% of your tokens given to you at the TGE time. So we got a plethora of different types of projects, big, tier 1 projects, smaller, more degen projects. But as long as the market cooperates, guys, we are going to hit at least a few 100Xs over here at Pools and Crypto Paradise this cycle. We did it in 2020. We did it in 2022. Remember when we were coming out of that bull run and we hit 100X on Dead Prez, and we hit 100X on Chain GPT. I think we got damn near on one called Dex Check and a few others. Then it's been pretty much, I guess we did okay in meme season. That wasn't really our specialty or bread and butter. But, we did very well on Kai and Mellow. I think those did get damn close to 100Xs. I think Fuck 9 to 5 was like a 30X or something like that. So we did pretty well in meme season, although that, again, not our specialty. But if pre-sale season comes back even in the slightest, I think we can get at least 1 or 2 100Xs this cycle.
They're coming. Maybe it'll be Smart Sentinels. Maybe it'll be Bullshot. Maybe it'll be something else. Those two are prepared for these early opportunities. They've been working. They have product market fit. They already have revenue generation. They got good token economics. And they chose to work with Crypto Paradise, which we know is going to help them as well. So, it would be nice if some of the 100Xs we get this cycle are 2 of the first 3 or 4 that we help launch over on Pools.
Hell yeah, man. I'm so bullish for this cycle to finally kick off and be bullish. Oh, it's been how many months of downtrend and depressing and just struggling. I'm Mr. Optimist. And even there were moments when I was like, this is wearing me down. This is wearing me down. I don't like seeing the value of my portfolio go up, go down 6 figures. That hurts. But you just keep holding. You ain't gonna sell the lows. You ain't going to sell the lows because it's bouncing back at some point. And it seemingly is bouncing back now, guys. So, look, let's pray for the Iran war to end. 10-year, my prediction is they ultimately agree on a 10-year moratorium on nukes, Strait of Hormuz gets opened back up, sanctions lifted, which I don't love that because, I mean, we're still talking about a murderous regime that killed 30,000 innocent protesters. Let's not forget that. But if this is how it's going to go, this is how it's going to go. You're going to get the moratorium on the nukes. Clarity Act gets passed. New head of the Fed coming in. Fed probably ends up printing more money. Stimulus in the form of the tax rebates. We're in the golden age of crypto and investing, guys. You just don't know it yet.
We're keeping an eye on that ISM. It's at 52.7. We'll get a new reading here within the next month, and hopefully that continues expansion. Looking for ISM to top out in the high 60s. That would be great. Remember, not one, but not two, but not three. The last 3 times Bitcoin topped is when ISM expanded and topped as well. We are looking for that to happen again. That's what we've been looking for this cycle, and that's what led us to believe that we wouldn't have a traditional cycle down to 40 or 45K, and we have higher to go for longer.
If you guys think Trump can't and will not attempt to engineer a financial market melt up and mass economic recovery leading into the November midterms, well, then you just simply haven't been paying attention. Stop counting this guy out. Stop thinking he doesn't know what he's doing. He knows what he's doing. Everything's strategic. Now, is it guaranteed to happen exactly like that? No, but I think there's a pretty damn good chance it all works out. And the markets are at 7,000, S&P's at 7,000. Bitcoin's back above all-time highs. ETH at 5K. NASDAQ's at, what's it at? NASDAQ 26,000. Maybe that's at 28, 30,000. I don't know. That's at all-time highs too. Why is no one giving that scenario any credence? I don't get it. Well, we are. We're perma bulls, proud of it. It's done well for us in the past. Granted, the bear market did hurt, and let's hope this isn't a fake out and some kind of bull trap. There is a small probability of that happening, but I don't think it's going to happen because it looks like all the headwinds are pretty much wrapped up. I mean, the Iran war was the big thing. That's seemingly over. So, if you're a bear, I don't know what you're hanging your hat on. If you're a bull, good work. Good job holding. I hope you have some dry capital to deploy into your favorite altcoins. Maybe it's a bull shot coming on pool soon. Maybe it's one of your favorite pulse chain bags, Surf, for example. I don't know. Rhino's killing it. There's a lot of green in the markets right now. Maybe you aped into Rave now. I don't know. But hopefully you're doing well. You're feeling the positivity. I know we are. Any final thoughts before we jump off today, Nick?
That's all I got. We covered a lot. We went 20 minutes longer than usual. Bitcoin and Ethereum is sitting on resistance levels, trying to break out of the consolidation range. Just if you see a little red candle, don't panic. It would be a retest of the breakout line for both of them, and then we can continue higher if everything continues to go to plan during this 2-week Iranian gray area here. So let's keep the momentum going. Fed numbers look good for higher. Oil prices look good for higher, and the Iran negotiations are back on the table.
Let's go. Great day to be alive. Hope you guys held on. Hope you enjoyed the show for today. We'll be back tomorrow with another one. And until then, we'll see you guys on the beach.